Hey,
Hello.
how is everyone?
Hey, Robear.
Hey, let's see, who are we missing?
Geek.
Yeah,
Maybe he's with
geek.
me in another.
He should be on the way.
Yeah.
Cool, cool.
He's in my lobby
Group.
right now with Killer Fry, yeah.
Uh,
All right, cool. When he gets in here, I'll talk to you guys about the plans for tonight. Twitch, man, sometimes it's so many trolls and the name. My la- well, if Juan the Dongbringer 123 is an actual person, thanks for the follow. And the last guy was unidentified naked guy. Just like
They call him the
nice.
Streak.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Oh my gosh. Hey Juan, hang on the chat. I'll talk to you about it. Your name cracks me up, dude. Um, all right, cool.
thanks,
So,
thanks for
uh,
starting later, everyone. And despite all that, there was several people that were late for the practice that we even waited for. So thanks for filling in for the other practice anyway.
yeah, we just
But yeah, I just want to throw that out there. Thanks.
yeah we just pushed it back. I don't think everyone else knows that you're kind of like dual managing other
Mm.
stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
he's in the what league are you like
It was
in?
a Raven Court League. It's another like similar to NGS. They're like another league that runs like in between NGS seasons, basically. So I'm trying out for another team there.
Cool. Give me a second here. All right, cool. So here's the plan. I'm gonna meet with our other team in 30 minutes. We're kind of seeing if the fifth will work out. It was kind of an option before the season ended, but we just want to make sure it works out. So for you guys are just gonna practice a little bit. So I wanted to um, welcome Geek officially to the team because Killer Fry is already on the team. Geek officially welcome. And also, I do
thank
want
you.
to welcome Gola and Blackstormer officially to the team as well.
Woo!
Sweet.
So
Hey,
Blackstorm,
Woo.
I have not officially given you the option, but from what I did hear, you were going to accept. So is that correct?
Yeah.
All right, very
Yes.
good. All right, so that leaves Rift. Rift is the only one that has not been solidified yet. So this is kind of what he's doing tonight. He's just trying for that last roster spot. Now, again, for tonight, what I want to try to do when I talk to the other team is maybe set up a scrim. Even though it's later for you guys, maybe we can get a couple games in there, maybe three depending on your schedules, but we don't have to like push it. And we haven't even really played collectively as a 5 unit, so I don't know how this is going to go on our end either. Um, so in the meantime, you can kind of do whatever. So I'm guessing, or I'm looking at the clock. So in about an hour, we'll try to go ahead and set up the lobby and get all those things together. So in the meantime, for that hour, the time is yours. So however you want to prepare for that, whether it's just going in quick match, maybe trying to figure out some kind of strategy you want to see what that looks like with your current five, or if you want to do another storytelling game, I'll leave that up to you. But that's pretty much the agenda. And then let's see, I will send messages to a couple of you, so just look for that. Now, as this team is shaping up, Gola actually will be manning a lot of just kind of like the play mechanics. So when you guys are in game, whether it's shot calling right now, he's going to be the person that's going to be the primary shot caller unless you guys work something out differently. And that's kind of what I had intended all along anyway. That's why I wanted to bring him on board. Also, he had some stuff which I kind of echoed as far as just requirements is kind of a I don't know. I don't. I guess we can say requirements, but just expectations that we want for you guys because we feel like this team can go pretty far. Now, Rift, I would just act as if until you get the official, but I'll make it official, so you'll know exactly if you're on the team or not. But just that right now, just act as if. Does that make sense?
yes.
Okay, very good. So he mentioned to me because I think anytime that you put a team together, and if any of you guys that have been on any, I think all of you guys have been on some kind of team or another. It gets tricky when you don't have expectations set up front. So, um, when Gola and I were kind of talking about just stuff, and if you've been kind of aware to some point, it's a lot of this won't be necessarily a huge surprise. But I did want to at least paint out there. So he kind of put his thoughts together in writing, and I'm going to share that with you. I'll talk to you about it now, and also send you a copy of it so you have it on file. And I think it's doable, especially that everyone that's here. I think you guys have the skill sets to pull this off, and I think with just a little bit of time together, you guys can work some magic. Now, obviously, the more time you spend together, sometimes you might be a little bit more closed off or not say exactly how you feel, and in fear of like I don't know, like an ousting or reprimand. But that I could feel pretty confident that that's not going to happen with this group, and this is why I took so much time putting you guys together. So really, I wanted a collaborative effort. I mean, obviously, if for example, Gola is a shot caller, that means he makes the final decision. Now, if during communications and comms over games, I want everyone to do a collaborative effort with just communicating and telling what's relevant, especially if it's knowledge that Gola can't see. Because if you guys have been listening, I've mentioned how much he can see, but he's human. He can't see everything, right? So
Hmm.
you just need to kind of fill in what's missing, but make sure it's relevant to gameplay. Now, there's going to be times, just like with any group, where you guys won't basically be on the same page, um, and that's going to happen, and that's okay. But those disagreements, or whether it's a shot call misplay or difference of opinion, like that stuff needs to be figured out after the game, not actually in the game, because you need to be focused on what's at
Oh,
hand and just follow the order. Does that make sense to everyone? My
oh yeah.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
And that's essentially. Now, obviously, if there's things that he missed and stuff like that, I know talking with Goal over a couple times, he can be kind of intense, and he knows that he's working on it. But at the same time, he's got a good heart. So I think he'll, when he's wrong, just call him on it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Cool. Yeah.
Um, but anyway, so the personalities, what we currently have, I think it'll mesh well. I think it's going to work pretty well. So let's talk about some stuff that I actually agreed that expectations where I felt like everyone was going to be on the same page. Now here's the thing, like don't I know that we're all talking in a group, but don't feel like you have to just go along with it if you really cannot do everything. Because if you can't do anything or do everything that's expected, we don't want any animosity, especially if you said you're good and then later it ends up not working out. Does that make sense for everyone?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even if it feels good now and later things change, like be
Yeah.
honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's all fine.
communication, like life happens, communication is going to be huge. And if for whatever reason we need to find a replacement and you need to be put on a sub or maybe try to move you to another team, that's something we can figure out, because essentially we're building our third team, and there might be spots in other teams that we might be able to figure out something if this doesn't work out for you guys. But anyway, so let's talk about his expectations. And I agree that this group can actually do this stuff. First goal that he had in mind was he wanted everyone to rank up a full division, or essentially 5 ranks in Storm Division. So, for example, if you're Gold 5, then 5 ranks above that. Is that how it reads, Gola?
Ex- Exactly.
Okay, okay. And it's really just the attention to wanting to improve and get better, which means that when you guys are together in Storm League, if it's in Storm League, you guys are trying to win the game to rank up. Now,
Yeah.
if you play a lot on your own, that's great, but at the same time, you want to put yourself in the best situation for what's presented for your main account. If you want to, like just mess around and not turn your brain off in Storm League and play whatever, then do that in another account is what I would recommend for that. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So the next item he has here is his goal is he wants to place first or second, and go to the finals in Div C. Like if we have everyone where you're at, it's probably a safe bet that you will be in Div C. Now, as far as the timetable, I'm not sure on that if it's going to be west or east. That's something you'll have to talk about as far as scheduling. And I know Killer, technically he has a little bit of finagle room, but not a ton, because he's technically what, Mountain Time Killer?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, cool. And just to be clear, I was building the team around him because he's done a great service of being a sub for us for a few seasons and even filled in and took a main roster spot last season for us, which helped us in a huge bind. So this is my appreciation in extending it to you, Killer, for being just patient.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
no worries.
So after he plays first or second in Div C, the next expectation is to then play in Div B and compete in the top three. Personally, we have played a handful of those teams in Division B just with our main team. And surprisingly, it seems more intimidating than it sounds. Like I don't know why, but I almost feel like Div C is actually more competitive than Div B. It's like Div B, you have like two or three teams at the top that are just destroying teams, and then I don't know. It seems like the latter half of them just don't seem to do well. I don't know. I don't know if that will change next season, but that's just what I've noticed so far in the past. And then eventually play in A the next season. So high expectations for this group. But we wouldn't put it out there if we didn't think you guys were capable. Any questions on those?
Nope.
Okay.
No, that sounds awesome.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this is the time management of it all. Now, we all realize that everyone has stuff outside of out of game time. So when you guys are at practice, whatever you have dealing outside of it, if you're going to come to practice and isn't something like, hey, I got to call out because I'm dealing with real life. If you're going to show up, make sure you leave your whatever you got, as much as you can outside the game, because the thing is, you're going to be practicing 3 nights a week, and it's only going to be for like 2.5 to 3 hours. So it's not a ton of time. It might be as much time as you already spend just leisurely anyway. So there's not much more there, and this includes match nights. And he made a point about that. And this is something that's been kind of echoed. I know I at least said it once. I think Rift might have been the only one that might not have been warned out of the gate on that. Now, so he actually even discloses the breakdown. So it says this allows one night for learning something new, the next night for scrims for a new strat, and then one night to review and play some Storm League. Now, he feels that once you've learned a lot of the strategies or a bulk of what you feel like you need to know as a unit, then you can kind of alternate or try to mix and match a little bit better. So night of scrims, night of review, Storm League on the third night, just a little bit better. But focusing on the strats as a group is going to be priority at the beginning. Obviously with the goal of ranking up, and then let's see, also setting reasonable goals for the number of Storm League games per week that you want to prioritize playing. Now there wasn't a number disclosed, and you guys will just have to discuss it as a group. Okay, so again, we don't want you guys to kill yourselves, but we want you to be focused when you are practicing by yourselves in order to propel this group to the next level. Let's see. And he says often spend a fourth night on their own and learn a hero or get some Storm League games, whatever that is. But obviously, if you have a quota to meet for your Storm League games, then that's something to talk about. And really at the beginning stages, because there isn't a number set, actually talk about it. Think about it. Think of what's realistic. Think about what you have going on outside of the game and all the practices that are required, and see what's actually realistic. Really have that open communication. Now, again, I'll give all of you guys a copy of this later too. So he wants to make sure that you guys are active in comms and in drafting, basically have some input. And obviously it takes specific practice of what information we want to communicate and how. I agree with that. I think a lot of times people just depend on one drafter, and then if you're not used to saying anything, you kind of just turn off at that point and hope it goes in your way. But like I echoed before, I want this to be a collaborative effort with everyone involved, right? So ideally, you guys are going to know your roles best, but if there's something you're seeing that the other person isn't, even if it's their role, it's not bad to mention it to them, right? And also the timing is important too. I've been in part of drafts where it gets botched where they throw something 3 seconds before we got to pick, and then because it was the last thing said, we don't really think about it and just pick it. And I don't want you guys in those situations either. So always be cognizant of the actual time before it ticks off before you have to pick. And ideally, because I don't know if you guys noticed when he showed the spreadsheet, but he kind of has strategies already in place for specific maps, and you guys will need to talk about that as a group. So I think he'll need to figure out where your strengths are as far as your heroes, and then kind of derive strategies off of that. And then obviously, if there's heroes that you need to pick up, then that's just going to be your responsibility to get that input and learn that character because the team needs it. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Um, let's see. He mentioned he can give and take feedback. You know, Gola will speak his mind. He is nice at times. Um, he can
At
be,
times.
yeah, and
At times?
at times. You know, but obviously in the game he can be very focused, and also his room or his window for, you know, patience is not as great in game. You know, obviously. So keep in context. You know, if you need it,
Sorry.
no, it's fine. It's fine. And the thing that's funny is because you mention it and you're aware of it and you're constantly working at it, but I notice it when you guys are talking
Yeah.
that it comes
Yeah.
out. It comes out. He just wants to win. He's very competitive, and I want everyone to approach it that way. And I also did mention to him too that it's a double-edged sword, right? That's the burden of responsibility that he wears. That if he's having a bad day, like shit, everyone's going to be having a bad day, right? So this is where you kind of have to pick up and realize what's happening in the moment and try to offset that and maybe even get him back in it. Because when you guys are ahead, he's always talking, he's always on it. But when you guys are down or lose a couple bad fights that maybe felt you should have won, you know that, and that's where the morale comes in. That's where the team chemistry comes in. You know, that's where the ability to get yourself in a winning mindset, even though you're technically down right now. That's where that all plays in together, and that's something you'll have to do as a group. It can't just be solely reliant on him. Sure, ride the goal wave when you guys are on top. Just turn your brains off, listen to him. Awesome. But then there's that going to be the opportunity because you won't always be up. So just something to think about as a group. Um, yeah, he does mention never give up, a never quit attitude. Um, be objective and as honest as possible. Transparency is good. You know, if you know, obviously you've only played together a little bit, you know, just in tryouts and stuff like that. But over time, you know, maybe someone's gonna say something that, you know, maybe hurts your feelings, you know, whatever, right? And I'm not saying that you should be like, meh, you know, but have an open conversation about it. You know, we're all individual personalities. We're gonna have different triggers. You know, I've really tried to make Killer Fry angry quite often, and most I've actually made him was a little bit ticked off. So he has got a huge window of. No, I'm totally kidding. I've never actually tried to make him mad, but I'm not that kind of personality. But at the same time, though, what I mentioned by that is, you know, just have to feel each other's range, and I don't want anyone feeling like you're tapping around eggshells. You should always feel like you have a voice. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, and that's something that you work on together. Go ahead. Who was gonna say something?
No, I went to look at my profile and I left the party. That's all.
I almost did the same thing, man. I
He's
almost
like,
did the same exact
he's
thing.
like, and I'm out.
And on that note,
Honesty, I'm out of this now. Just kidding. All right. Let's see. Okay, so I think I addressed communication. Yeah, just to be
Yeah.
clear, Goal is going to be making the final call. Like, if there's conflicting calls, because that might happen. Like maybe there'll be someone that sees something different, calls it out. At the end of the day, whatever Gola says, right or wrong, is final decision, even if it does not feel like the right one in the moment. And I've actually just watching your team just kind of play, like there's been some like suspect calls that I would never go through, like I would never make that call, but it ended up actually being more aggressive and probably because of the time you needed an aggressive play, and it actually worked out. So, and that's actually something I noticed right away with that. So just keep doing that. You guys haven't been, and sometimes they're risky, but sometimes you just have to take those risks, and it's fine. You know, but whatever. At the end of the day, just follow it, and he'll learn from it, right? And that's something you guys can talk
Oh, yeah.
about openly. It's like, oh yeah, maybe I should have made that call, or maybe I should have
Yeah.
waited this, whatever. You guys will figure
Yeah,
that
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Let's see. I think that's pretty much it, Golo. Is there anything else I missed?
No, if anything, I just kind of want to like add to everything. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, Ad.
So right off, I think my biggest area that I need to improve is honestly being patient in game. As you said, I love to make a strategy and stick to the plan, but then in the game, I get very instinctual about. I know where they are. I know what we're capable of. Let's do this. You know what I mean? So like, I have a very dual mind about I want to have a plan, I want to know how to execute this plan very well, and then I want to be able to jump off the rails strategically, you know?
Hmm.
Mhm.
I don't know, but I also need to temper that. It's not always right, and when I make a big error, it's often because I was impatient or over aggressive. So like cutting that out would be huge somehow.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, and know your strengths too. Like it's something I kind of alluded to. I mean, here's the thing: we all want to be masters of every single character. I know that I totally want to believe that I'm a master of every single character, but the reality is I'm not, and you guys aren't either. It's not like we're playing,
Yeah.
24/7, right? We don't have the time to do that. We got other things we got to do. So really know where your strengths are, know where you're stretching yourselves. So for example, in the damage roll, if Gola asks like, "Hey, can you play this?" Really think about, can you really play it? Not like, do I know the mechanics? Can I do okay? Like he's meaning, like, can you perform really well at a high level with it? And is it one of your better characters? And just kind of let him know, like, hey, I know him. He's probably not my best character. If you want to practice him, I'm down. You know what I mean? And maybe that's going to end up being a project, right? But I think just kind of be realistic with yourself and also your play styles, right? So Killer is a little bit more calculated, a little bit more reserved on just killing shit. And then Rift kind of doesn't have a conscience. I've noticed when he's on certain characters, he just kind of he's like literally right behind the tank. He says kill the tank and he just dives in and goes for the target, which is awesome because every team needs that. So there's a lot of strengths that you guys have, but don't try to be someone you're not, especially when you're trying to get a feel for everyone. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay. So for as far as admin captain, so Geek has volunteered himself to do that role. So basically,
Thank you.
Golo made it very clear if he could help it, he didn't want to do that role, and I get it. It's a different skill set, and it also takes up a lot of just mental capacity to just organize everything and get everyone on the same page. So on paper, Geek, you're gonna like when we build a team for NGS next season, we sign up. You'll be the acting captain, but it's mainly just for um, basically making sure the games get scheduled and you coordinate with the other captains, and so which means the people on your team, you got to be aware of their scheduling. If there's any stuff, everything should just go through you. Just kind of own that essentially.
Okay.
So you just be captain on paper and just take care of that responsibility. Now, in the future planning, this is something, maybe some of you guys enjoy this stuff or not, but when you guys are planning to play against teams, there's a lot of different lengths you can take it to. Not only on knowing your strategy, but if you wanted to add the scouting piece, right? There's someone that could do stat digging. If I remember correctly, I think you were kind of into that, weren't you, Killer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh.
And I'm not saying you have to be that person. I'm just saying like maybe it's something to think about if you feel like it'd be of value, right? Other things like if you want to go in, watching actual film or replays of the other team, that could be another step. There's so much more that you can do to analyze your opponent, whether it's tendencies on maps or even tendencies to players, rotations of players. I mean, there's really a lot that you can take it to. It just depends on how much you want to put in and if you're enjoying it, right? Because we're not getting paid for this,
Mhm,
so we just want to,
mhm.
maximize as much as we can outside a game. And the reason I mentioned that is because I don't want it to just fall on Gola to do all that stuff, right? So he's already trying to manage all of the in-game stuff when you guys are playing together, all the strategies, all the drafts, all that stuff. And it's great in fine and dandy, but don't assume that he's going to do all of that stuff. This is again a collaborative effort. So I just want to put it out now, so you guys can kind of think about that as you start building your strategies and you start getting to scout teams and things like that. Again, nothing you have to have right now, but just something you need to think about if you want to take it to that level. Because definitely when you get to Div A, which was the last benchmark on your list there, they're definitely doing that stuff. I mean, when
Oh
you
yeah.
when you think about it, Div A, what Cavalier Guest was in that Div a couple
Yeah.
seasons ago, so you're playing like Masters players at that point. So
Yeah.
you're gonna have to take every advantage you possibly can.
And that's honestly the Storm League goal, right? Like I want in this season to move up, and then in next season to move up again, and that would put everyone basically at Div. If we can all get to D4 or higher, we would all be basically playing the best people in the game, and that's kind of what I would like for us.
Another thing too, and it might not. Well, okay, so I'm gonna ask specifically Rift and also Geek. Um, Out of curiosity, why do you feel it's important to rank up?
Well, for that reason that Gula just mentioned, like we're, able to play against better players. That's
Mhm.
going to make us even better. So,
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure. Anything
better
to?
competition, quality games. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth there. I was going to say quality practice. And we place better when it comes to placing, guaranteeing a placement in C. Um, and primarily, it allows us to also see that the characters that the heroes, I'm sorry, that we're especially good at, by virtue of practicing in that environment, it less reflects the lower skill rank that we're currently at, where we can pull off more other heroes and have a false sense of confidence. So
Mhm.
at a higher rank, when we're only playing, our top set of heroes, we should be able to know what we should be confident in and bringing into a match.
Mhm.
I think,
Absolutely. No, well said
yeah.
by both of you.
Yeah.
Was someone gonna say something?
No, I like that mentality a lot because another way I think of, not trying to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like one of the ways I think of it is I play some heroes at a much higher, like Storm League rank than others,
Mhm.
essentially.
Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, everyone knows you get away with some things in Storm League that you don't
Yeah,
in others, and
yeah,
because we're playing in low gold, you take riskier things and get used to taking risks that you shouldn't get used to taking.
yep.
So it's another value of ranking up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Also, I just want to add that also what heroes are good at what ranks, like not just to play but to play against, changes as you rank up.
Yeah.
Sure.
Heroes that you could ignore before you can't now, and heroes that were good before are can sometimes be a lot less good
Mhm.
higher up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
Cool.
Absolutely correct there. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Just wanted to make sure you two understood. I mean, obviously that's more for you two, but you guys seem like you're on the same page with that. And I should also follow that advice because I'm sitting at silver too. Sad day. But anyways, okay. So
You play beyond that for sure.
I wish. I wish. I make so many noob mistakes still. Whatever. My macro is like a boomer, or my micro. I mean, it's terrible. But anyways, so I'm gonna meet with our team here in a few minutes. Do whatever. Just try to be available in about 35 minutes is what we're shooting for, and we're just aiming for maybe 2 to 3 games, and because I want to be aware of, because I know a lot of you guys are on East Coast too. But I just wanted to see what we look like and also see what you guys look like, and then just kind of do it under a situation where we're not like trying to rank up, but just being like, okay, like how do we beat this other team? And here's the thing, like I'm hoping you'll kind of see the difference in speed, if there is a difference, than some of the games you've even been playing. And just I don't know how well our team will do. I don't know if we'll punish stuff or we'll just end up dying the whole time. I'm not sure, but usually when you play coordinated teams, like your mistakes become pretty blatantly obvious pretty soon. You get punished pretty hard. So anyway, it'll be a valuable experience for all of us involved. But all right, I'll go and let you guys get to it. You guys can decide what you want to do. Whether to get yourself prepared for that. And my guys don't even know that we're even scrimming yet. I'm gonna surprise them and be like, "Hey, what's up? Good to see everyone. Let's do a scrim."
All
So,
right.
all right, cool. So we'll see you guys in about 35 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All
All
right.
right, cool. Leave you to it.
All right.